Servus, Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. I just woke up in the park, still a little wet, but yeah, I thought I'd make a video now. Um, I wanted to talk today about the escalation from the side of the German regime against the opposition. I made a couple of videos about that, but I think it is time now to tell you about, I think, in my opinion at least, a very important, very significant further step on this ladder of escalation, I would call it. They're getting more and more nervous, as you might know, because people are really getting, how should I say, scared, angry. We have first reports now from Recklinghausen in Western Germany, where a company, they, how should I say, they took out some parts of the heater system in the basement or somewhere in these housing blocks. They disassembled it partially so that nobody can turn on the heating in their apartments. So they say that they want to start it come October, but now in September it's already pretty cold in many places. I think it is a rather cold September, and especially if you're sick or if you have little children, you don't want your apartment to be at 15 degrees Celsius or something like that. Yeah, especially with little children, I can totally understand that. Or if you have a flu or a cold or something, you also, I mean, they still have hot water, but still, I mean, this is something well, if my memory serves correctly, we didn't have in Germany up until now. And they actually disassembled the heating system so that the tenants could not just go in there and turn it on, because it's not that hard, I guess. But they took precautions against that already because they thought that people would be pissed. And they do that, of course, due to the extremely high gas prices. Yeah. And now people are getting angry, especially the women, but that's a whole different topic. Men normally deal better with these conditions, with cold or with not so much food or with not taking a shower and stuff like that. Women, on the other hand, they grew accustomed, I should say, to a certain lifestyle. Yeah, but this is not divorce court now. This is winter under a globalist communist government. So anyway, they have grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and now this lifestyle, this wellness lifestyle, is no longer possible. Sometimes it's extremely expensive, and sometimes when you live in an apartment complex like the one I just mentioned, it's literally not possible. All right. So what does the regime do already? Because they of course sense that they're not that disconnected. They have their eyes and ears everywhere, right? So Mr. Scholz, our chancellor, for example, he said in a tweet that was directed at the I think the Federal Association of the Union of Law Enforcement Officers or something like that, right? So towards law enforcement, he tweeted that bear in mind that, I'm paraphrasing by the way, bear in mind that the democracy and free speech, well, he didn't say free speech, I guess, but the right to assembly and peaceful assembly and protest, basically, that is one of the highest goods, one of the highest values in our constitution, blah, 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 blah. But, and the but is of course important, as always, he said, but if people are using or exploiting that in order to spread dangerous messages, and he named a couple of those groups. That means people who do not agree with Bill Gates on health. Yeah, that's one of the groups. Then a red line is crossed, and then we don't tolerate that, and our democracy can defend itself, and we know what that means. Yeah, when he directs this message at law enforcement officers, and we know what happened in the last 2 years, he means water cannons and clubs and just, you know, um, wrestling down and punching old ladies and old guys and little children, gassing them and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what he means, of course, when he says that our democracy can defend itself. So let me translate that. Um, I partially translated it already because he didn't talk about clubs and handcuffs, but he meant that, of course. But what he also means is that in our democracy, you can express yourself freely if you agree with globalists and with our regime. But if you disagree with them, well, then you get the club and the handcuffs and the prison cell. Yeah, that's what he means. This is what he actually said, and that is something I have not heard so far in Germany it being said this explicitly. You had the Clinton speech of the bucket of deplorables and stuff like that, and that you cannot talk to certain people anymore, and that they're beyond reasoning with and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. Uh, First of all, she was just a candidate, and she was not the president, and that was in the USA. So in Germany, I've never heard. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, some people are better informed. Some people in my comment section, especially, are better informed than myself about many of these issues. But I've never heard a German chancellor or a member of the government say explicitly, "Well, you can say what you want unless you differ, in your opinion." Um, because so far, what they did is they said, peaceful assembly, but then they said that those people aren't peaceful, that they're committing acts of aggression and violence and stuff like that. But this time he didn't say that. He didn't make the excuse of, oh, but they're not peaceful. No, he didn't say that they're not peaceful. He just said that they have a different opinion. And maybe this sounds like a subtlety, or this sounds like a minor point, but it's actually not. Because if you're not peaceful, yeah, then law enforcement is supposed to step in. And the funny thing is that in recent or in past decades, we had a lot of cases where a lot of people, yeah, protested not peacefully. And in the US, we had BLM, for example, but in Europe, we also have our special demonstrations, where the left is congregating and where the only purpose of them being there and doing that is to commit acts of violence, of course. And the police was always told to look the other way and to not touch them and stuff like that. But now, when people are actually peacefully demonstrating and peacefully protesting, having a different opinion, having different values maybe, yeah, then law enforcement is explicitly told to be violent, to step in and physically stop them, arrest them, punch them, throw them to the ground, stuff like that. And yeah, that, in my opinion, or in my experience, yeah, in my knowledge, this is new in Germany. Yeah, so this is how you can tell, how you can see that they're scared. I would say they're worried, they're scared, and they just hope for a mild winter with moderate temperatures. But who knows? All right, and of course I should add that our Minister for the Interior and our head of the secret police in Germany, the Bundesamt für Verfassungsschutz, they're saying the very same thing. They even created a new class of offenses right now that is a delegitimization of the state. So if I criticize the current government, I am an enemy of the state and I try to delegitimize the democratic state, or I'm an enemy of democracy. Yeah? And this is exactly the rhetoric that they used in the GDR, so in the former communist part of Germany, or former Eastern Germany, the GDR in English, yeah, German Democratic Republic. This is exactly the rhetoric that they used against people who were dissidents back then. Yeah. So it didn't take that long. It took 30 years, and now we're we're basically, yeah, the whole of Germany, entire unified Germany, is now basically the GDR. And we always used to say then, yeah, of course, but we're rich and we're not as poor as they were, right? Yeah, wait 1 or 2 years and we will be there. Trust me. With energy prices like that, our manufacturing will crumble and people will be unemployed, mass unemployment during maybe during a couple of weeks or months, and we're there. Yeah, and then what is the difference to the GDR then? What is the difference? Take care. Servus, Kameraden.